3, 2,
Hello, for today's class, I will be discussing how to analyze or parse verbs and nouns in our Greek class. Okay, so first let's parse and analyze the verbs. So in analyzing verbs, and you have learned 5 verbs in our last meeting, we should know these factors or things to consider when analyzing verbs. First, you should consider the person, and then the number, and then the tense, the voice, the mood, plus the base of the word or the root word. Okay, so again, in analyzing verbs, you should know the number, the person, the number, the tense, the voice, the mood, and the base. For example, let's take the verb luo, which is in our vocabulary. It means I destroy or I am destroying. So, luo is in the first person because of the omega ending. So, first person. And when you translate it, it's I lose or I destroy. Luo is in the first person singular. The tense is the present tense. So for now, we are still in the present tense. When you talk about the tenses of verbs, we are indicating the time of action, when the action is taking place. So it's taking place in the present, the time of action. Also, we should consider the type of action. What kind of action is it? Is it an action that took place, or is it an ongoing, still happening kind of action? So if it's ongoing, then we should translate it as adding the ing at the end of the verb. So in the case of luo, we can translate that as I am losing or I lose. Both are in the present tense. The active voice indicates if the speaker or the subject is the one doing the action. So if the subject is the one doing the action, it is in the active voice. If the subject is the receiver of the action or the verb, then it's in the passive voice. If the subject, if the action goes back to the subject, the action returns to the subject, then it's in the middle voice. So there, with voice, there is active, passive, and middle. For now, we're still in the active voice. The indicative mood tells us that from the perspective of the writer, the action is a historical fact or event. So all that we are reading in the New Testament, it came from the perspective that it's a historical event. That's why it's in the indicative mood. So again, let's go back to our example, luo. So that has the first person, singular, present, active, indicative from the verb luo, meaning I lose. Okay? So how to conjugate verbs in the present tense? So there are 3 persons, the first person, second person, third person, with regards to the persons of noun, and there is also the singular and the plural, with regards to the number of nouns. So this is how to conjugate the verbs in the present tense, like the luo. We have to memorize the verbal endings. So here it goes. O, ace, a, omen, ete, usi. So again, O, ace, a, omen, ete, usi. Now to apply this with the verbs that we have learned, let's conjugate the present tense verbs that we are familiar with. Let's take for example, luo as the simplest word. So luo, I lose or I am losing. Luace, you lose or you are losing. Luae, he, she, it loses. Luomen, we are losing or we lose, luete, you all are losing or you all lose, meaning to antay or to destroy. And then the third, you are losing, they are losing, the plural, or they are destroyed. So again, the ending, you should be familiar with the ending, O, A's, A, Omen, Ete, Usi. And that goes the same with other verbs that we know, like ginosco, didasco, lambano, echo. Just recognize the base, the root word, and then change the endings. The endings again of the present tense verbs, O, A's, A, Omen, Ete, Usi. Okay? So now let's go to nouns. Nouns are the naming words in the Greek sentence. Okay, the nouns that we have learned so far, we have angelos, we have the logos, karpos, theos, adelphos, and those words in chapter 2 and chapter 3 of your textbook can be analyzed in three ways. Nouns should be parsed in three ways. You have to know its gender, you have to know its cases, and you have to know its number. With regards to the number of nouns, it should agree with the number of the verbs. So a singular noun requires a singular verb. In the case of luo is first person singular, the verb, it should take a singular noun. Whether angelos or theos, those are in singular forms. So it should agree, the subject and the verb. Now with regards to gender, there are three genders in the Greek grammar, in the Greek New Testament. And they are as follows: masculine, feminine, and neuter. So how do we recognize if what gender are the words are in? Okay, so the masculine gender in Greek, the masculine words usually is dominated by the omicron or the omicron declension. It is in the second declension in Greek grammar, the omicron declension. So you know that it's masculine because it's dominated with the omicron. Example, in theos, karpos, or all that we have learned in the past week, they are all in the masculine forms. Now the feminine usually has alpha and eta endings. Example, agape, and then irene for peace, zoe for life, they are all feminine. The alpha endings has the alpha at the end, like kara, basileia, glosa, doxa, like what the words here in fab, they are all feminine. And then third, the neuter, they are categorized with the on endings, like doron, and another one is hieron. Hieron is the temple. That's neuter. Okay, so now you know the gender of nouns. Now let's talk about, and then the number of nouns. You know, the first word, singular, plural, should agree with the verb. The last thing that we should analyze when we want to parse the nouns are the cases of nouns. The cases of nouns will help us for us to know how the word function within the sentence. So like in the English sentence, the English sentence has a subject, has a regular verb or a verb, a main verb in it that signifies action. It has a direct object, the receiver of the action. It has an indirect object, an object of the preposition. It has adverbs, it has adjectives, and it indicates places, instrumentality, and those things in an English sentence. So in Greek, the functions of words within a sentence or the syntax of words can be known in the cases of nouns. So there are 7 cases of nouns that we are using in our subject, and I've used a device in order for us to memorize it quickly and faster but accurate. And I use the acronym ENGALIDAC. Okay? So let me specify each, let me explain each of the cases. ENGALIDAC in acronym. So the first case is the nominative case. That's the N there, the nom. From the word name, nomination, and that is usually the subject of a Greek sentence. It is the actor, the one being talked about in the sentence. It's being named. It is the doer. So how do we know that a Greek word is in the nominative case? So the simplest way is to look at the endings or the suffix, and in the masculine case, in the masculine gender, it has the os ending. The next case is the genitive case. The genitive, to put it simply, to put it in simple terms, it's the case that denotes relationship, or it describes the noun. It is a descriptive word. So, like example, the son of a father, the brother of a certain person, and usually genitives in the English, when it's translated in the English, you add the of to denote, to indicate relationship. That's the genitive, relationship description, translated with an of in English. Now, the ablative denotes separation. So it's usually translated with from to indicate yung separation or away from something or someone. Now, if you will notice my device, yung ENGALIDAC, I put those two cases together. ENGA, that's the ga, the genitive ablative, because for the simple reason that it has the same ending. So the ending of the genitive and the ablative in the masculine gender is u. So we have the os and the u. Now let's go to the lead case. Locative, instrumental, and dative. The locative, as it suggests, it indicates location or place or sphere. And it usually has the preposition en or in, like in Cubao, in Murphy, or in Grace, in Christ. That's the locative case. So it's so easy now to identify the locative case. It denotes place or sphere. Now the instrumental has something to do with medium or agency, or a thing by which it was used by the one doing the action. So it's a medium or it's an instrument. So it's translated usually with by or through, like the agency. It's through them. It's the instrumentality of this, like a middleman doing the action for a certain person. He does the action, but actually the owner really is the doer. He is the one being used to do the action. So that's how I explain instrumental case. And then the dative is usually the indirect object, the equivalent in an English sentence. And it's answerable by the question to whom. If the direct object is answerable by the question what, where the verb goes to, or the receiver of the verb, the indirect object, because it's indirect, it's answerable by sometimes it's to whom. Okay, so the reason why I put them together, saying that it's in the lead case for the simple reason that the three cases have the same endings. So in the masculine, it has the omega with the iota Sanskrit, and it's pronounced O. So we have the Os, the U, and the O. And the seventh case is the accusative case. The best thing to know is that the accusative case is like the direct object in our English sentence, so the receiver of the action. So it has the on ending in the masculine form. So now we have the complete forms in the singular number. The os, u, o, on, and galida. Os, u, o, on. You just have to remember the endings. Now with regards to the plural, because we have the singular form, but the plural forms is had the endings oi, on, ois, us. So now it's complete. Os, u, o, on, oi, on, ois, us. So that's the masculine. Now when we go to the feminine, it's in the blackboard. But before we go to the feminine, the masculine gender also has articles. The articles indicate if the noun is definite or indefinite. If the noun is specific, particular, or it's general, like a boy is different from the boy. If you say a boy, that means he's one of the boys. It's just one of the many boys. When you say the boy, you are trying to point out to a specific boy because of the definite article the. So, like in English, the Greek has the definite articles. And for the masculine, the definite articles are written in the board. So, here is the child. In the left part is the singular, in the right part is the plural. So let me pronounce it for you. The engalidak, the same cases, the article and the noun should agree with gender, case, and number. Okay, so this is how you recognize the masculine article. Po, tu, to, ton for the singular. For the plural, hoi, ton, tois, tus. Again, o tu, to, ton, hoi, ton, tois, tus. So you now have the masculine articles that agree with masculine nouns, and the ending of masculine nouns, os, u, o, on, oi, on, ois, tus. Now let's go to the first declension, or the feminine nouns. So the feminine nouns have 5 forms or 5 ways of conjugating. Actually, there are really 3 feminine nouns. These 2 examples in the middle have feminine endings, but these nouns included in this section are actually masculine nouns. And I will go give you a specific example when I get here. Okay, so let's do the alpha ending. Feminine nouns with alpha endings. Okay, like Cara, like Aletheia, like Basilea. Okay, so you know the cases. So I've already explained the cases. The engalidak in the singular and the engalidak in the plural. Nominative, genitive, ablative, vocative, instrumental, dative, and accusative. Now, here is the ending. Here are the endings of feminine nouns ending with alpha. A, as, a, an, I, own, I, as. Sorry, I, as. Again, a, as, a, an, I, own, I, as. So if you will take the example of Cara or joy, Cara, ki, alpha, rho, alpha. Or hemera, the day. Hemera is day. Then it uses this ending, the alpha ending. So Cara, let's do it. Cara, caras, kara, karan, karay, karon, karay, karas. Joy of joy from joy, enjoy, by joy, to joy, joy. The reason why I did that because I didn't supply the definite articles. Okay? So, we just need to memorize the alpha ending. Aas, aan, ayon, aisas. Now, there's the other ending, the eta ending. Like here are some words, feminine words with eta ending. Agape, eirene, zoe. Okay? These are the words, feminine words with eta ending. So this is how you conjugate it. The case endings. A, I, own, I's, us. Again, A, it's dominated with eta, while in the alpha ending, it's dominated with alpha. But in the plural forms, they are the same because they are feminine nouns. They are the same. Here only in the singular forms that they differ. Okay? So, for example, agape, agape, agapes, agape, agape. In the plural, agapay, agapon, agapais, agapas. Okay. Now, let's go to what I call the hybrid. That's not what the Greek textbook says. It's just by device. These nouns are masculine, but they have the feminine ending. So 3 of the examples I've stated in the board. The first is Messias, a masculine noun, and then prophetes, the word for prophet, and mathetes, the word for disciple. Again, Messias, prophetes, mathetes. Messias, Messiah, prophetes, prophet, mathetes, disciple. So, these are the words included in this kind of endings. Masculine nouns having feminine endings. Let's take for example Messias. It has the as there. No? Messias. The nominative is as. Now, how do we know that it is masculine? First, in the vocabulary, it says they're masculine. It's indicated. Second, it's the only noun in the feminine declension that has the u. That's the genitive, ablative, the masculine ending u. So, instead of any of these as or a's, because it's masculine, it's u. So, Messias, Messiu. And then, the rest is like the alpha ending. As, u, aan. The same. But it's masculine because of the u. As, u, aan. And then, the plural, the same. Feminine nouns. I own, I's, us. Now, in the case of prophetes and mathetes, like Messias, again, they are masculine nouns, but they were put in the first declension having the feminine endings. So, prophetes, in the nominative, in the genitive ablative, like the Messias, it has the u ending, indicating that it's masculine. Prophetes, prophetu, prophete. Now, after the eta ending, the feminine endings, prophete. Is u, a. And then the plural is the same. I own, I's, us. Okay, so you should just remember this, the exemption, the Messias, the prophetes, and the mathetes, they are masculine nouns with feminine endings. Now, the last in the feminine endings conjugation are these words doxa and glossa. If you will see, it has the combination of both the alpha and the eta endings. The alpha is in the nominative and in the accusative. No, it looks like the alpha is sandwiching the eta. So you have the tuna sandwich here. and the peanut butter sandwich. So this is the sandwich and this is the palaman. So alpha, A is A. I own is A. So in any form of the feminine conjugation, including the masculine messias and prophetic, with regard to the plural form, they are all the same, indicating they are all feminine, except this. Okay, so if you will take doxa for example, and conjugate it using this conjugation, doxa, doxes, doxay, doxa, doxai, doxo, doxais, doxa. Two are given as examples, doxa and glosa. They have the alpha ending, but they don't go with this. They go with this. Only two. But the rest of the regular nouns with alpha ending and eta ending, it depends on the vocabulary of your textbook. It will tell you if it belongs to this. But most belongs to alpha ending, the regular alpha and the eta ending, except the two doxa and glosa. Now, the article, if masculine nouns do have articles that agree with the noun in gender, case, and number, also with feminine nouns. Feminine nouns do take some articles, and it should agree like the masculine with gender, case, and number. So, for feminine nouns, the definite article looks like this. Hey, taste, take, high tone, tas. Again, hey, taste, take, high tone, tas. So, whether it has the feminine has the alpha ending or the eta ending or this kind of mixture ending, these three, it takes this as the article. While these two takes the masculine article. Okay? Because why? Because they are masculine nouns. They are not feminine nouns. They just have feminine endings. So, if this is masculine, it should agree with the noun and the article. The noun should agree with the article. So, masculine nouns require masculine articles. Feminine nouns, like alpha, eta, and this mixture, requires feminine article. The last of the gender is the neuter. The neuter, although we haven't taken and we have gotten in that chapter. So I gave you an example of neuter nouns. Doron, as in gift, and hieron. This is how you write hieron. It's the iota with the rubri, the epsilon, the rho, the omicron, and the hieron. It's temple. The temple in Jerusalem. It's hieron. The temple that Herod built in the Gospels. Okay, how do you know it's neuter? The ending will indicate. These are the endings of neuter nouns in the first declension. Sa second declension. First declension, mostly feminine nouns. Second declension, mostly masculine nouns. But these neuter nouns are in the second declension, meaning there is a third declension, and that those are neuter nouns na talagang neuter. Ito, neuter nouns na nasa second declension. Wala pa tayong third declension kasi hindi natin inabot. So, expect if you will get enrolled in Greek 1 class, there will be the third declension na hindi na natin tinabot. Okay? So, this is neuter noun. Neuter nouns in the second declension. Hieron and doron. And the endings of neuter nouns in the second declensions are as follows. On, u, o, on, a, on, ois, a. Again, on, u, o, on, a, on, ois, a. So if you will conjugate doron with the endings, we will change the endings, and galidak, Dauron, Doru, Doro, Doron, Dora, Doro, Dorois, Dora. Yeron, Yeron, Yeru, Yero, Yeron, Yera, Yeron, Yerois, Yera. Okay? So, now, it also requires article, an article. The article, the definite article for neuter in the second declension. Remember, that's at the third declension. We haven't touched that yet. Is this. To, to, ta, to is ta. To, ta, to is ta. Di ba nag-rap na? Hindi na nakatiis eh. Mainit eh. To, ta, to is ta. So this is not a vlog, but this is a reviewer for you guys, for our subject. So if you will look at the board, at least you now have something to help you remember our class in introduction to Greek. So I hope this video will help you in your further studies, and I hope that it will also motivate you to learn more. Okay, so thank you guys. Good luck. God bless.